Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another plan with me in my Hobonichi cousin, and this week I'm going to be using the Winter Winston collection from my shop. This is the Hobonichi cousin sized set, and I have both sheets here as you can see. To go along with that, I pulled out a couple washies from my collection. This first one has polar bears and a little bit of silver foiling. I think this is from Michael's. And then I have this purple one with a grid pattern that I got off of AliExpress, I think, maybe? I'm sure you can find this pretty much anywhere that sells washi tapes. For my pens, I have my TWSBI Eco Fine Point to write on the planner paper, and then for sticker paper, I have my Zebra Sarasa Grand in the gold barrel. So I'm going to do a little bit of a different style of filming today because this week I was just filling birthday sale orders the whole week. I did nothing interesting aside from that, and I did not want to film a really boring plan with me with nothing to talk about, but I also didn't want to skip the week. So I asked here on YouTube and also on Instagram for some questions that I could answer during the video. So this is going to be a combination plan with me and Q&A. Since I'm going to be answering questions, I probably won't talk much about the stickers I'm using, but if there's one in particular you are interested in, you can comment down below and I will let you know where it's from. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do everything like normal, so laying down the base of my spread. And while I do that, I will start answering questions. I divided the questions up into 3 sets. The first set is work, and then family, and then personal. So we're going to start with the work questions because most of the questions I got were work related. I got asked the same question a couple times. So the first work question is, why and how did you start your shop, Nightingale Paper Co? So I got into fancy planners like Plum Paper and Erin Condren in 2015. And at first I was only into the planners. I didn't really care about the stickers, but then I started watching YouTube videos where people were using the stickers and I was just like, wow, these are so cute. And you know, it's really functional. Like you can use them in so many different ways. And I decided to go ahead and start buying some. So I bought a few sheets and I was hooked like right away. At that time I was buying just deco sheets and fun little sheets. I wasn't buying kits or anything like that. But I quickly graduated from just using the functional or the decorative stickers to functional stickers. And then I got into no white space planning. I don't know how long y'all have been planning, but definitely in 2015, 2016, and even a few years after that, the style that was preferred in the planner community was called no white space, where you covered up every little bit of white space in your planner with stickers. It was kind of crazy now that I'm looking back on it, but at the time it was really fun. And I got into it just like everybody else. The problem with no white space planning is that you go through stickers really fast and the cost of them can really add up. And that's what happened to me. And I should also mention that at the time I was getting into this, I was 19, 20 years old. I was in college. I wasn't working a full-time job, so I did not have that much spending money, which led me to thinking that, you know, maybe instead of always buying stickers, I should try to... I don't think I'm going to put this washi there because it matches the color of the date cover, so I'm going to use one of these washis up top. Anyway, as I was saying, I started thinking I should make my own stickers because I just was going broke buying stickers all the time. So I saved up and bought myself a silhouette portrait. I think it was $100. And then I got some really cheap sticker paper, which was like $9. I don't use that brand anymore, but for testing stickers at first, it was a good choice. And I also got a really cheap printer that was like $50 maybe. And I started designing stickers really just for myself. At this point, I did not have the thought that I would ever open a shop. But that's how I got started making stickers. And I made my own stickers for probably, I don't know, 3 months maybe. And at the time, I also had a friend who had just opened a sticker shop. So I was always talking to her about that. And she was talking about how much fun it was and how it wasn't that hard. So it kind of got me thinking that maybe I should try to sell some of my stickers, and also because I've been posting them on Instagram and some people had expressed interest in them, so that got the wheels turning in my head that maybe I could turn this into a business. Because I have absolutely no business experience, or at the time I didn't, and I don't consider myself like a business-minded person. In fact, when I was in high school, I actually took a marketing class, and I thought it was the most, I think I took 2 marketing classes actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And I thought they were so boring and I did not do very well in them. I think I got a C in one and a B in the other, maybe. I never thought I would enjoy marketing or anything like that, but as it turns out, Opening an Etsy shop for something you're passionate about is a lot different than sitting in a marketing class in high school. So I decided to just go for it and open an Etsy shop. Etsy is a very user-friendly website. They walk through everything with you when you're opening your shop. It's super simple, which is why I was able to open a shop when I was so young. And I think I got the actual shop put together in about a day. Why is there a hair right there? Okay, I got rid of that hair. That was weird. Anyway, I got the actual shop put together in probably a day. And I already had some designs done, of course, because I'd been making stickers for myself. So I put those up in my shop and it was started. I don't have like a really grand opening story or anything like that. It was basically just, I thought I would try it out. I never expected it to go into like a big business. I thought maybe I would make some pocket money now and then. But yeah, that's how I initially started my actual shop. And now what I'm going to do is just fill in my sidebar real quick with my Bible verse for the week and my Bible studies. So I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll be right back. Okay guys, I got my sidebar done as you can see, and I went ahead and zoomed you in so we can start planning the week. And now I'll continue with my story about starting my shop. So at this point my shop was up and running, but I definitely was not planning for it to become like a big business, and it did not take off the way some shops do. I had, I think, 2 orders the first month I was open, and those were both from people that I knew, so they don't even really count. But it was still really exciting, and I found out really fast that I super enjoy the process of filling orders and just putting it all together and packaging it and mailing it. I don't know why, but I really liked that. So those first couple orders that I got really helped me get more orders, because on Etsy it shows how many orders a shop has, and it also shows the shop's rating right up top. So a lot of times people will not order from places that don't have sales or don't have good ratings. So I really appreciate that my friends helped me out with the first couple orders, because I definitely didn't have to do that. But after that, my shop started picking up sales. It again was not very fast growth. I opened my shop in August of 2016 and I hit 100 sales at the very end of November 2016. So pretty slow growth, but I was still happy about it because, again, this was just something I did kind of on a whim one day. I can't really write and talk at the same time, so I'm kind of having to take breaks here, but that's okay. Then once I hit 100 sales, I would say that was where, I don't know if it was just Etsy promoting my shop or just the volume of people that had bought from me, sharing my stuff on Instagram, or what it was exactly. But it took me only like 6 months to go from 100 sales to 1,000 sales. And then after the 1,000 sales hit, that was when I really experienced a big jump in numbers. And also at that time, I decided to start working with a PR team. So I did have at first only one dedicated PR girl who I would send her stuff and she would post about it for me. And then I eventually grew to a PR team of 4. Some of y'all watching this might either have been on my previous PR teams or remember those girls. So that's so fun if you do. That's such a throwback. So around the time I really got into the PR stuff, I had been selling for about 2 years and I was getting ready to graduate from college with my degree. So I needed to do something with my life because I wasn't going to be a full-time student anymore. But since I've been spending so much time working on my shop and I was really enjoying it, I decided to go out on a limb and make NPC try to make NPC my full-time job and see if I could manage that. And really the only reason I was able to do that was because I wasn't living by myself. So I had someone living with me that I could have foot the bills in case I didn't make any money. So that's really the only reason I was even able to test if running a sticker shop full-time would be a profitable business for me. I mean, I didn't go into it blind. I did the math and I figured out that I had been making so much money, so I should be able to live off of it in the future. But just because this is not like a stable job, I don't get like a stable paycheck every single week, I wanted to be careful, and so that's why I was able to test this out. So I graduated college and then I went full-time with NPC, and because I was able to go full-time, I was able to do so much more with the shop. And some of y'all might remember this period of NPC. I was doing new releases like every week or every other week, just tons and tons of new releases. I had freebies coming out all the time. I was doing sticker albums and die cuts and all kinds of different products. I was really going crazy, so that grew my shop. I mean, when you put that much time and effort in and you have all this creativity flowing, yeah, it really pays off. So that is how NPC actually became a profitable business for me. It definitely wasn't a linear growth pattern as a lot of other shops have, and I did not plan for it to ever take off. Looking back now, I honestly can't believe this worked because I was just a kid. I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm so thankful that it worked out. It just makes me really happy. I definitely never take my job for granted. And I realized like what a miracle it was that it came to be such a huge part of my life and to be so successful. As I'm what am I talking about? As I'm talking to y'all about this, I have over 11,000 sales on Etsy and about 5,000 orders on my website. So yeah, it's so overwhelming for me to think about how I've sent that many orders to that many people. I've sent orders to 5 different continents. Unfortunately, I've never sent one to Antarctica, obviously, because nobody lives there. Nobody lives there. Like, do they even have mail in Antarctica? I don't know. But I've never sent an order to Antarctica. I've never sent one to Africa either. So those are the 2 continents I'm missing. But I think 5 out of 7 is pretty good. And I've just made so many awesome friends from this hobby slash job. And I get to do these YouTube videos, which I never thought I would do either. So yeah, it's been such a crazy, fun ride doing this job. I never thought I would do something like this because, as I said, I took marketing and business classes in high school and I thought it was so boring. And then I don't really consider myself a creative or artistic person. I liked art class in school, but I was never like super good at it. And it never occurred to me that I could be an artist or anything like that. So yeah, it definitely came as a surprise, but a very good surprise. And speaking of the artistic stuff, another question I got a lot about work were questions about Winston. Why did I create him? How did I create him? When did I create him? All that good stuff. And this is kind of a funny story because when I first started my shop, I was only buying art from other people and selling it with a license because that's how you do it. You buy someone's art and buy a license and then you sell it as your own product, usually with minor changes. And that's what I was doing. And that's what a lot of shops do solely, which is fine. I mean, it works and it provides the product that people want. So yeah. But as my shop was growing, I realized I needed something that was going to set me apart. Because a lot of the clip art that you see, I mean, I'm sure y'all have noticed when you're shopping for stickers, you'll see the same clip art in multiple shops, and the size might be different, but overall it's the same clip art, and it doesn't stand out. Like, to be successful in a saturated market like this, you need something that is different from other people's products. So I decided I wanted to start drawing my own stickers. So I ended up buying an iPad and downloading the app Procreate, and that is where I started drawing different things. I did not start off with Winston. I attempted to start drawing people characters because I wanted to do like customizable people, and I quickly found out that I have no talent at all for drawing people, especially faces. It was a disaster and kind of scary. So I ixnayed the people, and then I started thinking, well, what about an animal? Because animals don't really have like faces the way humans do. I mean, they have faces, but you know what I mean, okay? So I was going through my favorite animals, and one of my favorite animals is hedgehogs. So I thought, let me try and draw this hedgehog. And I started to draw one, but when I just got the outline done and the face on him, I thought it was really cute. And that was Winston. The thing that I drew that was supposed to be a hedgehog, but I didn't finish, is Winston, okay? I know a lot of people think he's a bear or a hamster or a cat or... I mean, he gets called all kinds of things all the time, but he was originally supposed to be a hedgehog, but I liked how he looked, just neutral black and white. I thought he was so cute, so I left him as he was, and I started selling him, and people loved him. So that is how Winston came about. Funny thing though, I did eventually go in and draw the spines on Winston the hedgehog and color him in. And if I can find the design that I did, I'll put it up on the screen so y'all can see how that ended up looking. But I didn't really like that as much as I liked the original Winston. And I think a lot of people prefer the neutral black and white Winston as well. So Hedgehog Winston never actually came to fruition for sale in the shop, which is okay with me. But yeah, that's how Winston came about. I just wanted something unique to my shop, and I wanted something cute that wasn't a human. So I went with an animal that I liked, only he never actually became that animal. Nowadays, when people ask what Winston is, I usually just let them decide because it's kind of a hassle to explain how I attempted to make a hedgehog, but then I didn't go through with it. So yeah, that is the story of how Winston came about. And Ashley named Winston. I don't know what made her choose Winston, but I think it's the perfect name for him. I think it's such a cute name. Okay, moving on from work to family questions. The first question I got was, do you have siblings? And I have one sibling. I have a twin sister named Ashley, who I just mentioned her. I will put a picture of us up on the screen in case you aren't familiar with what either of us looks like. But that is my only sibling, and I really like it that way. I don't understand what it would be like to have a sibling that you're not the same age as, and you go through the same stages of life together. I think that sounds really weird. I don't know how y'all do it out there. I also don't understand how people with no siblings function. I just don't understand, like, how y'all do it. Oops, I misspelled Methuselah. Okay, I'm marking that I'm watering my new plant. It's a succulent that I got, and I named him Methuselah. I think I talked about this on this channel. One of my goals for this year is to get a houseplant and keep it alive. So I got a succulent, and I want him to live forever, so I named him Methuselah. And I'm trying to mark that I watered him on this day because you're not supposed to water him that often, and I want to keep track of it, but I misspelled him. So I'm gonna white that out. So yes, I have one sibling, Ashley, my sister, and I got a bunch of questions about Ashley. So now I'm gonna answer the Ashley questions. The next question is, do you and Ashley live together? Yes, we certainly do live together. We are not only best friends, but also roommates. Well, not really roommates because we have separate bedrooms, but we share an apartment, so yes, we do live together. I think I still might have misspelled that. I think maybe the A and the E should be swapped at the end, but it's okay. We know what I meant. Next question, what is Ashley's YouTube? Ashley does have a YouTube channel. I will put the name of it on the screen. It's just at Shlee. That's her nickname, Shlee. And she does a lot of cooking videos, some vlogs, recipe videos, and she also eats MREs. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out her channel. I'll also put it in the cards and link it down below. Next question is, what are the similarities and differences between me and Ashley? There is a lot to go through here. We are identical twins, but we are very, very different. Some of y'all watching this are, you're friends with me and you've met me and Ashley in real life. So you can attest to the fact that we're very different. I think the main difference between me and Ashley is that she is much more extroverted and I am much more introverted. Ashley loves people. She loves to talk to people. She actually works as a secretary for a construction company. So she is on the phone all the time. She's always meeting people, and she also does their community engagement. So like food drives and stuff like that. She's always around people and she loves it. So that is her thing. I am much more introverted. I like people, but I just get very worn out around them. I just like my private time. I like quiet. I do work from home, so I'm by myself all day, and that works for me. I like the solitude. That is, I think, the main difference between me and Ashley. A similarity we have is that we both like to read, but we read very different things. I like to read mostly fiction. I read a lot of historical fiction, romance novels, cozy mysteries, that type of stuff. Ashley loves to read nonfiction, especially survival stories. She especially likes shipwreck survival stories. She's kind of crazy about those and has quite the collection. I've tried to read a couple of them and I do not like it, so that's definitely a big difference between us. Another similarity, but also difference, is that we both like to be in the kitchen, but she prefers cooking and I prefer baking. In fact, you will really struggle if you ever try to get Ashley to bake something because she just does not enjoy it. She doesn't like how it's much more like a science and you can't just throw things together to make it work. I don't mind cooking, but I just think baking is more fun and rewarding. I also think Ashley is a lot funnier than me. She is just so quick-witted and good at making jokes, and she's hilarious. I have a good sense of humor too, I think, but it just is not as prominent as Ashley's. Ashley and I also both like to do fiber arts, but she knits and I crochet, and neither of us know how to do the other activity. Like, I don't know how to knit and she doesn't know how to crochet, although we've tried to teach each other, but it has never come to fruition where we've learned to do the other one's talent. I think a lot of the similarities and differences between me and Ashley come from the fact that I'm older than her. I'm the older sibling, only by 1 minute, but it still definitely counts, okay? And I think if you know us, you can tell Ashley's the younger sister. She is very, not crazy, okay? But she's much more adventurous than me, and she doesn't really think about like the risks of stuff the way I do, because I kind of always take a minute to think things through before I do stuff, but Ashley is just, she's a little crazy. I know one time we went swimming at this pool. Well, it was like a, what's it called? A spring, an underground spring in Florida. And I had read about the spring before we went, so I knew there were alligators in the spring. Not like really common. And the spring was crystal clear. I mean, you could totally see right into it. I'll put a video or picture on the screen if I can find one of what the water was like, but you could totally see to the very bottom of the water. There was no way you were gonna not see an alligator in there. But still, when we arrived at the spring, we were the first people there for the day, so I was being very cautious. I was like looking around the edge of the pond or pool or whatever you want to call it to make sure there wasn't an alligator, and Ashley just ran and jumped into the pond. I mean, she just jumped in, and I was like, seriously, there could be an alligator in there waiting to eat your face. Okay, you don't know what's in the water. But she was fine, and I'm probably a little bit, you know, overcautious, but that's another example of how we are different. Okay, next question is, are you in a relationship? I am not. And then someone asked, do your parents live nearby? It's just my mom, and she lives less than an hour away from us. So yeah, pretty close by. Okay, the next section of questions I have is personal questions. So the first one is, what did you study in college? And this is kind of a funny question because I studied multiple things in college. So for the first year and a half that I was in college, I studied sign language interpretation, which it's not that I disliked it, and I was good at it. I did have great grades, but I just pretty quickly realized that it wasn't something I wanted to do for the entire, well, you know what? I won't say pretty quickly. Okay, this is complicated. So I realized maybe after the first semester that it wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, probably, but I have always struggled with quitting things. I'm one of those people, like if I'm reading a book and I don't like it, well, up until recently, okay, I've learned a lot in the last couple of years, but when I was in college, especially at the beginning of college, I really struggled to quit things. And this was an example because I figured out pretty fast that I did not want to do sign language interpretation for the rest of my life. But because my grades were good and I was doing well in the classes and stuff, I just felt like I could not change my major. And also because my family, they really liked that I was studying sign language interpretation, and they were always like, not bragging about me, but they were just really happy that I was studying that, and they thought it would be a great job for me to do and stuff like that. So I guess I felt a lot of pressure to stay studying that subject, even though I really didn't like it. And the longer I stayed in the major, the more problems I had. And then it got to the point where about a year and a half in, I was seriously just not in a good place. Mentally, I was dreading going to class. I would like make excuses to skip my classes, or I would go and barely pay attention, and it was just bad. I was not enjoying it at all, and that major also had a lot of extracurricular requirements that I didn't enjoy meeting. Like I kind of thought it was unfair the way the curriculum was set up as well, but that's like a whole another story that I don't want to go into right now. I finally made the decision to change my major, and it was really tough. Looking back, I wish I had just gone with my gut, but there were just so many moving parts, and yeah, I really struggled. It was not a great time for me in my life, honestly, but I changed my major to history, which has always been my passion. I've always loved history. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of support for that major change. My family wasn't very happy and kind of thought I was wasting my life studying history because they didn't think it was as useful as a sign language degree. But I really liked history. I still love history, and I had taken a couple history classes, like just for the general education requirements, and really enjoyed them, so I decided to go with that. I went with history major, English minor, and I loved it. I really enjoyed all my history classes, and I think I made the right choice eventually because I wrote several research papers for my history degree that I won awards for, so I guess they were pretty good. And I ended up getting inducted into Phi Beta Kappa on the history degree. That wasn't in the cards for me with my sign language degree. So yeah, I think overall I made the right decision to change my major, even if I didn't go with my gut at first and do it in the best way possible. I wish I'd saved myself all that heartache and the time, but yeah, it ended up working out fine, I think. And the joke kind of is that I didn't end up using either sign language interpretation or history in my current job. So I guess I didn't really need to go to college, but I did. I needed that time to grow as a person and just learn about myself. And I also did start meeting with a business manager who was affiliated with my college when I started my business. It was like a year and a half into my business, I think. So that's how I met him, and he was really helpful. So yeah, it wasn't all for nothing. And I had fun, like I said, with my degree. Also, if you guys hear any background noise, I think the lawn care guys are here today at my apartment complex, so I may have to speed up this video because I don't want to have like a lot of noise in the background, but let's keep going. So that is what I studied in college for a major and minor, and then my college had a language requirement, which I think most colleges do. So when I was studying sign language, I didn't have to take a separate language because obviously I was majoring in a language. But when I changed to history, I had to take up a language, and I was going to study Latin because I studied Latin in high school for several years, and I liked it pretty well and I was good at it, so I thought I would just keep going with studying Latin. But I was kind of worried that since I was late switching majors, I didn't want to spend more than 4 years in college, so I wanted to do something that I would have help with, and Ashley was already studying Russian in college. So I was like, I'll take Russian, and then if I need help, Ashley can just help me, basically. And I won't have to be stuck in college to fulfill a language requirement in case I don't do well in the class. So I studied Russian for a couple years in college, and that fulfilled my language requirement. So that is my college story. I don't know, are y'all surprised that I didn't study business? Because I think a lot of people have this like idea that if you run a small business, you have to have a degree in some way. But that's definitely not true. I do not, even though I've been running this business for almost 9 years, I don't consider myself business-minded. It's kind of hard for me to think of myself as a business owner, in fact. But yeah, I have no business degree at all, not even like an associate's, and I definitely don't have an MBA. Next question is, do you prefer sweet or salty food? Okay, I really like this question because I love food. I've probably made y'all very aware of that over the years on my channel. But I actually prefer combo sweet and salty foods. I don't know why, they're just so delicious. I seriously love them. One of my favorites is chocolate covered or yogurt covered pretzels. So good, but they have to be really salty pretzels. I really like the kick of salt with sweet stuff. Okay, this is a perfect example of how I can't talk and write. I meant to make apple oat bake, but I wrote apple oak bake. So we're just gonna leave that and pretend it says the right thing. So yeah, I really like chocolate covered pretzels. I also really like trail mix where you have like salty peanuts, pretzel sticks, sesame sticks, stuff like that. And then you add chocolate chips to it or M&Ms. But for M&Ms, I don't really like regular M&Ms. I prefer peanut M&Ms, or the best tasting M&Ms are the mini M&Ms that come in that little canister, you know what I'm talking about? Do they even make those anymore? I know they made them when I was a kid and I used to love getting those like in Easter baskets and stuff. But that kind of trail mix is my favorite. And what else? Oh, I love kettle corn or sweet and salty popcorn. Boom Chicka Pop makes the pre-made popcorn. I don't know if they call it kettle corn, or I can't remember if they have their own name for it or whatever, but yeah, I love sweet and salty popcorn, kettle corn type stuff. And I only discovered kettle corn like maybe 2 years ago because we don't have it where I'm from. It just appeared in the stores one day in the pre-made bags, and it was delicious. I regret that I missed out on kettle corn for the majority of my life. I think maybe they have it at like fairs and stuff now, but it's still not nearly as popular as regular popcorn is here. Also the Moose Munch from, I forget what that company is called. Is it like Harry and David or something like that? That fancy popcorn company, their Moose Munch is pretty good, but I'm not a huge fan of caramel, but in general, anything sweet and salty is my favorite. Next question is, do I collect anything? And yes, I actually collect several things. So first up, I collect stamps, and ironically, the stamp collecting began from sticker buying because I obviously buy a lot of stickers for myself, and a lot of them that I bought, especially at the beginning of my time in the sticker community world, were from foreign shops, so international shops, and they used to just send them in envelopes with stamps. This was before, again, the sticker shops really took off, because I think now almost everyone is either required to use tracking, or they just choose to do it just to like avoid issues with lost mail. But back in the day, almost everybody just shipped with stamps. I used to just ship with stamps. So I got a lot of stamps from ordering international sticker mail, and I would keep them because they were so fun and cool. and I have quite the collection now of those. I also collect postcards from places that I go on vacation to, which kind of is difficult because a lot of places I visit are really obscure and they maybe have like 1 or 2 postcard choices. So some of the postcards I have in my collection are not my favorite, honestly. I only bought them because they were there. I would not have chosen them if there had been a choice, but I really like having all those to look through as reminders of my trips. I have them in a little like leather-bound book, and I also get some from my friends. I think it's so sweet that my friends send me postcards when they go places. I really appreciate that. Along with the postcards when I travel, I also try to get a sweater from everywhere I go. A lot of places, especially in the US, have that kind of stuff in their gift shops. So I really enjoy getting sweaters, nice big cozy sweaters. I usually buy oversized so I can wear them like around the house or to sleep in and stuff like that. And then the last thing that I collect is space shuttle related stuff, merchandise or memorabilia, I guess you could say. That is a pretty new addition because I've developed a mild obsession with the space shuttle program over the last year or so. I like going to antique shops, and I found some really fun space shuttle memorabilia at these antique shops. I recently found a space shuttle salt and pepper shaker, so I added that to my collection, and I think that's all I collect, really. I would be very curious to know what you collect, if you collect anything. I think it's fun to know what others collect. Ashley collects Ticonderoga pencils. Fun fact about her, she has a wide array, not just the original yellow ones. She has the black ones, the noir ones, the pastel ones, neon ones, striped ones, you name it, and she's got it. Next personal themed or personal type question, I guess, was what are your hobbies outside of planning? Is planning your main hobby? That kind of thing. And I also got questions about like how long I've been planning and how I started planning. So I kind of answered the last ones earlier, but the way I actually found out about planning was when I was in college. Ironically, one of the girls in my class was talking about Erin Condren planners, and I've always liked planners and stationery. When I was a kid, I used to like live for back to school time when I could go get all my new notebooks and pens and stuff. That was the highlight of my year, basically. So when she mentioned a specific branded planner, because I had never had a branded planner, I would always just go to Walmart or whatever and get whatever planner they had on the rack. And in fact, when I was a kid, our schools gave us planners, so I had never needed to buy a planner because the planners they gave us, we were like required to use in the school, which I guess is good because it kind of teaches you how to plan things as a child, which maybe I should credit that for my obsession with planning, but I just kind of feel like it's a natural thing for me. Anyway, so when I was in college, one of my classmates was talking about this Erin Condren life planner, and I had never heard of it, but the name intrigued me, so I looked it up, and I ended up watching some YouTube videos, and then I ended up getting into the plum paper world. That was my first fancy planner, and I really liked plum paper because of the paper that they use. I don't know if any of y'all have ever used a plum paper, but they use the best paper. It's so buttery smooth and just really nice. You can write with it. You can write on it with gel pens and stuff, and it doesn't smear. I have never encountered another planner company that uses that paper, but that was my first fancy planner, and that's how I found out about fancy planning, and the online planner community was through those YouTube videos that I discovered. As for my hobbies outside of planning, I definitely think planning and journaling is maybe not my biggest hobby, but a big hobby. I mean, this will be my 10th year planning with stickers and in fancy planners, so I think that's pretty impressive. I'm very glad I've stuck with it and it wasn't just a fad for me, because at one point I did kind of go through like a little crisis where I'd bought all these stickers and all these planners, and I was like, am I going to keep this up, or is this a fad and maybe I shouldn't do this? But I'm here to stay. I think it's pretty obvious right now. Similar to planning, I like to journal. I have a couple different notebooks that I just record my thoughts in, and I also like to print little pictures, like with a sprocket, or sometimes I use my little Polaroid camera to put in there. I guess that's more like scrapbooking, and I'm not sure if scrapbooking is a totally separate hobby from planning, but I'm kind of including it as its own hobby, I guess. And as y'all can tell from my planner, I really enjoy exercising. That's one of my big hobbies. I'm in the gym usually 5 times a week, and then I like to go for walks, and I like to hike when it's nice outside. In the summertime, I like to swim. I've been getting into lifting weights recently, which is fun. I never thought I'd be a weightlifter, but here we are. I also like to try new foods and new restaurants. I don't know if that really counts as a hobby, but it's something I enjoy doing. Where I live in a really small town, we don't have that much variety in food, but when we travel, I like to eat different foods. In fact, on an upcoming trip planned for later this year, I have plans to eat at an Uyghur restaurant for the first time, and I'm really excited about that because I've never had Uyghur food before. I'm not even sure what it's like, and I don't want to look at the menu beforehand because I want to go in to be surprised. And I like to, when you go to a new restaurant that you're not familiar with, I like to ask the servers or the chef or whoever is on hand what they recommend, so I don't want to go in with preconceived notions. I already mentioned that I like to crochet. That's another one of my hobbies. What else? I like to read, of course, but I think everyone who has ever watched one of my videos knows that. I've always been a big reader. I don't remember actually learning how to read. I don't remember a time in my life before I was a big reader, but especially over the last couple of years, I've gotten back into reading because for a while there, I was in this book slump where I just kept picking up like the worst books. And because I had that thing where I would force myself to finish whatever I was reading, I would read these books and make myself finish them, even if I hated it, I would keep reading it, which I finally got over that in the last couple of years, not only with books, but with a lot of things in my life. So yay, that's good. That's much more healthy for me mentally, I think. What did I put this down for? Oh yeah, I wanted to update my Mac. That was what it was. I seriously cannot keep my brain going in two different ways when I'm talking about something and then writing about something different. And then baking, I already mentioned that as well. I really enjoy baking, and lately I've been trying to come up with more baked goods that involve fruits and vegetables. So I'm currently on a kick where I use overripe bananas to make anything from donuts to waffles to oat bakes and stuff like that. But yeah, that's about all I have time to talk about, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you out. And I finished in perfect timing because it sounds like the lawn care guys are revving up the lawnmowers. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about me. I feel like this was kind of chaotic because I had so much to talk about, but hopefully it was enjoyable anyway. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!